Hi, I am Viva Blygen, and today I want to talk to you about some reasons why trauma therapy is so important, especially in the Black community. I have 12 reasons here: healing emotional pain, reducing symptoms of PTSD, improving daily functioning, preventing long-term psychological issues, enhancing self-esteem and self-worth, building resilience, improving relationships, processing and integrating the trauma, reducing physical health problems, providing a sense of control, enhancing overall quality of life, and supporting long-term recovery. So the first thing we're going to talk about is healing emotional pain. I'm sure that a number of you have dealt with pain from some sort. Your boyfriend broke up with you, your girlfriend broke up with you, your dog left you, anything, right? But there's always something that's emotional that's tied to that. We've all dealt with emotional pain. How we deal with it is totally different than the other person because we're all different, right? So therapy allows you to navigate and use the tools that you need to be able to get through that process. It's not that you're not going to experience emotions, it's how are you going to navigate through it, right? So reducing symptoms of PTSD, that's another one. There are a number of people, and I think some people think that PTSD is just based on military. Respect to all of the military. Thank you so much for your service. But PTSD can deal with anxiety. PTSD can also deal with abuse of any sort, in your childhood or even in your adulthood. So how do we reduce those symptoms as you're navigating through life with your loved ones at work, right? We don't want to just pop off on somebody because all of a sudden you had a trigger, especially in the workplace. So therapy is good for that, so you can get tools for that. Improving daily functioning. Trauma can definitely interfere just with daily life. I've experienced and know of some clients that can't even step outside of their home because of traumatic experiences that they've had, right? And who wants to live that type of quality of life? So therapy would be very helpful to be able to get the tools that you need so you can leave home, live your best life while you're here. Preventing long-term psychological issues. One of the things that I can say about this is one thing leads to the next. So what do I mean by that? You could be sad, then sadness can lead to anger. Or let me change it. You could be sad, sadness can lead to hurt. Hurt can lead to anger. Anger can lead to unforgiveness. So you have all these little cousins walking around in your body, right? And then it's causing all type of long-term psychological issues if you don't deal with that. Any of you ever had that one auntie and you trying to figure out why auntie's still mad at her sister, and it's something that happened over 50 years ago and they still won't talk to one another because there is some long-term psychological issues there. There's a trauma that happened and they're not ready to let that go. I'm telling you, therapy would be very helpful for that. Another one is enhancing self-esteem and self-worth. I was just speaking with some clients today, as a matter of fact, and we had a 10-week coaching process. And of course, even with the coaching, I threw some therapy up in there for them. And one of the things that they said is 10 weeks ago, they had low self-esteem. They didn't think that they were worth it, or they could do the work, or they could use the tools that I was providing for them. After a 10-week process, I heard even today that it built their self-worth. It made them think differently. It's so easy to look at someone else and feel like they got it all together. And you can talk and say all these wonderful things about other people. But as soon as somebody asks you, tell me 5 good things about yourself, most people will sit and hesitate, right? So therapy, especially trauma therapy, can help enhancing self-esteem and self-worth. Another one is building resilience. Trauma therapy helps individuals develop resilience. How do you cope better with future stressors and challenges? The stress and the challenges are gonna come. It's gonna come. The question is, how are you gonna cope with it, right? Do you find it and say, wait a minute, I'm feeling like I can say for myself, and be like, wait a minute, Lil Viva didn't like that. So let me go back and have a conversation with Lil Viva and see where did that come from? Where did that upset feeling come from? Why do I feel triggered? Right? It gives you the opportunity to go back and say, okay, let me go back and use these tools so I can respond to this situation totally different than what Little Viva would have. That can also come into if you had a relationship with a man or a woman and they were abusive, right? And now you're in a new relationship and this person just, I don't know, they put on a cologne that your ex, or perfume that your ex had on or something or used to wear. All of a sudden you're triggered. And from the smell of that cologne, you're thinking, this dirty dog ain't gonna do me right. They gonna cheat on me. They gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because you have not dealt with the trauma of that first hurt. So yes, trauma will help to build resilience and allow you to cope differently with future stressors. Another one is improving relationships. I just did a segue right up in there. Trauma will strain relationships with family, with friends. There's trauma in friendships, even at work and other partners. Therapy can come in and kind of help you where you're able to navigate and deal with that trauma and whatever that issue is, so you're able to have a healthier relationship with friends, family, and even coworkers. I know of some friends that go to therapy together. I think in our mind, we think that therapy is just for a husband or a wife or a child or something of that nature. I know best friends that go to therapy together because they're two totally different people that grew up in two totally different backgrounds who have two totally different types of trauma. And of course, they're gonna probably trigger one another. So why not go to therapy together if that relationship is worth saving, right? Also, processing and integrating the trauma. So trauma therapy assists individuals, that would be me, in making sense of your traumatic experience, integrating it into your life narratives in a way that reduces your negative impact. Oh my gosh, I can talk about this all day. When you're dealing with trauma, sometimes the thing that you've dealt with in trauma is something that plays continuously in your mind, and then it keeps you stagnated. So you're stuck right there. Somebody planted a negative seed. Somebody did something. Somebody said something. Whether it's in childhood, adulthood, or even yesterday, they did or they said something that really, really just made you feel and just insecure, just hurt, just out of it, right? And it triggered something in you. Well, when you're dealing with the tools or when you're going to therapy, this can assist you in integrating and saying, wait a minute, and changing your thought process. The issue is not me. This is the situation that I'm hurt by, right? And it also gives you the chance to question what the other person's intentions were. And if you know that person, it's like, okay, did they intend to do this? Is this the part of their character? And if it's not a part of their character, then it's time for you to kind of go in and say, okay, wait a minute. Let me go back and use these tools. Why did this affect me the way that it did? Then I could communicate with whoever that person is to say, hey, when you did this or when you said this, this is what my reaction was. So that would help you because you're able to integrate in and out with it. Another thing that trauma therapy can do is reduce physical health problems. Let me tell you something. Stress can kill, right? There are certain parts of your body that hold certain types of stressors that causes certain types of illnesses, right? So if there is pain in your lower abdomen area, a majority of time that's dealing with unforgiveness. And there are different other areas that we can talk about or go in a little deeper later on, but it can cause inflammation. I've known people who've had unfortunate heart attacks, things of that nature. And I'm not saying that trauma alone causes these illnesses. I'm saying that not navigating through them, and of course with other stressors too and other things that's going on in the body. But trauma itself, undealt with trauma, can cause tremendous physical health problems. Providing a sense of control. One of the things about trauma, especially if it's someone that's dealt with abuse, it's unfortunate if you dealt with abuse that person has control or they had control. And there are times that when you're dealing with that traumatic issue, or even you've passed it but you haven't gotten to work for it, they still have control, because every time you get triggered, it takes you right back to that place, right? So dealing with your trauma and being able to use the tools that are provided for you, you're able to gain your control back. That person no longer has control over your emotions. You do. That's another thing that I think is real good. Another one is enhancing overall quality of life. You're able to address and heal from your trauma. And I like to read this. Individuals can experience an overall improvement in their quality of life, including better mental, emotional, and physical health. Being able to go to therapy, a good therapist, one that you've done your homework with, therapist, right? Being able to go to therapy and get what you need from there can help you enhance an overall quality of life, right? So that is something that I strongly encourage you to do. And the last thing is supporting long-term recovery. Trauma therapy provides ongoing support and resources, helping individuals maintain their recovery and continue to grow and heal over time. None of us ever make it, right? But as we deal with going to therapy, again, I know you keep hearing me say tools. There are a lot of tools out there and resources. As you deal with going to therapy and using the tools, it allows you to have a long-term recovery, right? Because it's almost like an onion. As you're peeling the onion back, you're thinking, oh, I'm good. And then something else happens. And you're like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? I thought I was good with that. And then you got to peel that onion back. And then something else happens. You're like, wait a minute, where did that come from? And you continue to peel the onion back until you get to the root of what it is. That's what supporting long-term recovery is. One of the things that I would also like to say, and I say this to everyone, when you're seeking a therapist, it is okay to shop around, right? When you're looking to date someone, you date that person, you ask questions. You may be even on their social media, checking them out, seeing, okay, is this true? They say they single. Let me make sure they single. Are they hanging out with somebody? You're automatically doing that. I recommend that you do the same thing for your therapist. If you're interested in a therapist, check out their website. Check out if they have YouTube. Look at their YouTube. Read some of their reviews. Go on their social media if you're able to look at their social media to make sure that this is someone that you're going to be comfortable being vulnerable with. Because there's no reason for you to go to therapy and you're not going to be vulnerable. This is the time that you want to show up for yourself because you're worth it.